I'm Bill.
And I'm Candace. And
we're the Disruptors. Well, we're going to disrupt something today, but you haven't told me what it is that we're disrupting yet.
Well, that's okay. Are you asking?
Yeah,
Are you curious
I'm kind of curious.
Okay.
Because
before we go any further, I want to welcome Chris to the show.
Hi.
Welcome, Chris.
Yeah, Chris is here today. Yes, with us.
And
somebody has to be your eye candy while this production goes on.
You know what? And he is eye candy.
Yeah, eye candy for you. Good.
So I'm glad that you asked.
Well,
Thank
I
you.
thought I'd just throw
notice.
it in anyway because I know our audience is probably listening, trying to figure it out.
They're saying, who the heck is
It's
Chris?
Anyway, go ahead. Chicken Man couldn't make it, by the way. He's not going to be available.
Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that. Roger's kind of, he's tending to the ladies.
Yes, he is. Yes,
Since there's
very
over
busy.
20 of them. He's a very busy boy.
Very busy.
So, first of all, what we want to talk about today on the show is hobbyist to mogul.
Oh, now
Isn't
this
that
is
intriguing?
That's intriguing. That's intriguing. Now, so that means starting business from a hobby to a business?
There's a natural progression. And so one of the things that you can tell, and maybe you can go ahead and rate yourself, might be kind of fun. We're at the tail end of the year, looking at the new year.
You're looking at the new year.
Where are you actually at with your business? And how serious do you take your business?
Okay.
Because, it's really easy to do something one day or 2 days or a few days. And it's harder to keep the momentum going when we're looking at, 3 months, 6 months, a year. And a lot of times people call themselves entrepreneurs, but they're really a hobbyist. And so let's go ahead and frame what hobbyist actually is.
Okay, define hobbyist.
Okay. Chris is a hobbyist.
Chris is a hobbyist, okay.
Actually, if we talk about barbecue, that's a religion for Chris. But for a hobbyist, getting back on track, that individual really kind of plays at business. It's not their main focal point. I'm not sure really what motivates those because we're all motivated by different things. But they're not spending 8 hours a day. It's willy-nilly, hey, I've got something, or
I've got a big project. I'm going to make millions of dollars, but I don't have to work 40 hours a week or for somebody else because now I'm my own boss on my own time and I can call the shots. Is that what we're referring to?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
And you don't have to own a business. You can actually be an employee that has a hobbyist mentality. In other words, they don't return your phone calls. There's no follow through. Chris knows those types of people. So, you've got a hobbyist. If the business comes or goes, there's really no impact on our communities, on our society, and really there's no impact on them. To own a business takes discipline. You have to actually show up and pay bills and do other things like that. Hire people, make critical decisions. So we go from hobbyist. First of all, do you have any questions on hobbyist? Let's start there, Mr. Lee.
Well, most hobbyists, I think there's a definition of hobbyist being somebody that makes something and goes to a craft show once a year or whatever, versus getting into MLM or something of the other nature of business.
That's a great way of putting it. We go from hobbyist to self-employed. Now, what does self-employed look like? All you've done is create yourself a job. Boo, boo, right?
Boom, 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 boom.
So who wants to quit a job only to have created a job? And this is where it takes a lot of growth and a lot of intestinal fortitude, because if you're self-employed, if you take a vacation, guess what? No money. You don't get paid.
That's right. You don't get paid at all.
Right?
No revenue stream. No nothing. Yeah.
You work 7 days a week. You are constantly scrambling because you're just at that cusp of coming into business owner.
Dun, 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 dun.
So let's spend a little more time though on self-employed, because I think that there's a lot of businesses out there that individuals have a passion, or they have a passion to do something, but they don't put the structure in place to actually make their company an actual business. I was speaking to somebody here, which is unfortunately, I want to say that, it's not an uncommon conversation, where you have business owners that have, they've owned a business, they have, let's say they've spent 20, 30, almost 40 years working that business, but at the end of it, they don't own a business. They're self-employed.
The business owns them. They're self-employed. Yeah.
So they have nothing to retire on, and when somebody will ask you, what is my business worth? and you start dialing that down and really taking a look at it, it's hard to say, I'm sorry, but you've really just created yourself a job. You're really just self-employed. And you've done great at creating a job, but not a business.
But not a business. Nor an income, nor a retirement for the rest of the time.
No, because a lot of times people want to sell their business and they have sweat equity. But what is sweat equity in a business? Who wants to buy that?
Nobody does. It has to have a value.
I'm self-employed since I'm employed.
Yes.
All I've done is created a contract with my employer.
Yeah, exactly.
So I'm self-employed.
You're self-employed. And that's where, fortunate or unfortunate, that's where most of, our society is when you work for someone. Remember, if you're not building your dreams, you're building somebody else's. You're building their future, their new home, their new cars. That's what you're doing. And lots of people are fine with that. But if that's not you and you're wanting something more, we live in the land of opportunity. I mean, for heaven's sakes, who can go out here and, make $1 million on a pet rock?
Well, that's
right?
right. True. That's true.
Crazy pays well, right? So niche markets, there's riches and niches. So, if you've got something, let's bring up Paul McCartney. Okay, right? What's his song for the season? For the Christmas season?
Oh, heavens. For the Christmas season? I want to go home.
Wonderful Christmas time or something like that.
Was that
right.
what it is?
Yeah,
I thought he wanted to go home.
Simply having a wonderful Christmas time.
We're not Chris doing vocals today. Thanks anyway.
I think that's awesome. But here's the bottom line. One song still pays him $400,000 a year. It's played 1 month out of the year.
Well, of course.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So, as we kind of wrap up a little bit about self-employed, that's pretty much where most people and most businesses, they find themselves in that rut. Now, business owner, that's your next step up. Okay, business owner means that, you've probably got employees. You can actually leave for 2 weeks, and guess what? You still make money. So you have owned yourself a business. You've got structures in place for either expansion. You're either expanding going deep or you're going deep and wide. Or which means you're either opening up another location or you're seizing more of the market share in your local area. And that's what a business owner actually is.
Oh. Well, that's a good explanation. I mean, it kind of takes your breath away when you stop and think about it.
Well, business owners actually have the ability to change their environment around. They're actually able to change a culture. And so, one of our sayings is don't just create a business, launch a revolution that ignites a culture. And you're not going to see that with the self-employed or the hobbyist. What you're going to see is you're going to see that in a business owner. Okay, and then you're going to see that moving forward to the entrepreneur and then mogul. But we're not going to talk about entrepreneur just yet.
Not just yet.
Not just yet.
Okay.
So a business owner is able to actually sell their business at the end of, they have an exit strategy, so they can sell their business. They can put their business in a trust or in a will. They can give it away as an inheritance, where see second and third generation business owners.
Which is kind of interesting, isn't it, when you stop and think about it?
It's really fascinating. What I've found whenever you go and you do that, where your business is, second generation, there's a huge difference between second and third generation owners. And the second generation watched either mom and dad, right? Mm-hmm. Blood, sweat, and tears. They've gone through the struggles of, taking over market share, getting stable. They see mom and dad, or, maybe it's just one or the other. But anyway, working the business day in and day out. And you get into that third generation, and they haven't seen the blood, sweat, and tears, especially the first person that started the company.
Right.
The second generations stabilized the business, and now chances are property's paid for, businesses are solid, and they get to come in and run it. And what you see is really, why should I expand? Why do I need to increase? Because everything's, in a sense, been handed. Very few third generations. This is why companies fail. They have a higher failure rate in the third generation than they do in the first or second. If the third generation owner can actually pick that company up, then there's a lot longer for longevity.
So now, do you see business owners in MLMs?
We do see business owners in MLMs if they've structured their tiered systems for profitability. The challenge that you see a lot of times is that you have a lot of individuals and they stay at hobbyist, or even self-employed. They've just created themselves a part-time job, and that can land in either one of those categories. We've already talked about some of the pitfalls with an MLM or direct sale marketing, and that is that you can't increase your profitability. You have to increase the people underneath you. And I'm speaking in generic terms. This might not apply to every single MLM. I don't know every single MLM. What they've done is they've given you a product. You have a platform, so you don't have to worry about manufacturing, how you're going to get the product out. You don't have to make all those decisions.
None of those decisions at all.
But what you do have to do, and that is recruit
forever.
And that never, ever ends. So you're constantly selling. And that's not unlike any other business. You're either selling a service or you're selling
a product.
But you can if you strategically build it. It's just hard. You just have to. But business is hard. Business is not for wimps. And it's certainly not for the weak of hearted. So, right, Mr. Lee?
No, you're very, very correct.
So we go from business owner to entrepreneur. Okay? The entrepreneur, they have more than one business. They're sustainable. And they're able, in a sense, I like to look at them more like a puppet master. Because they're able to run, they're overseeing several locations. Obviously, they're able to take vacation. They've got managers that are managing. They've got employees that are getting it out. And at that point, the entrepreneur is really out there monitoring and making sure that their business is being handled. So it's a different level. It's a different mindset.
Is it also, you were saying that it had multiple streams. So are we talking about I don't know, the Twinkie factory over there?
And that's definitely entrepreneurial. Or your fingers can be dabbled in several different other industries.
Is it better to have franchise or is it better to go with diversification?
I think you can get a franchise as low as anywhere from $9,000 to $10,000, but remember, a franchise is providing. Then there's different things to even bring up versus a franchise versus a licensed agreement to be able to provide that service under that banner. I like diversification, but that's me. If you can do one thing and do it exceptional, then
it fits your personality, how you're going to operate and be effective.
Now, an entrepreneur is able, they're making money and new ideas. At that point, you're actually able to do really, do some research, really get in and try new things, new products, and really see what's out there for you.
Really good example. A lot of the reality TV shows now are showing up on social media, the behind the scenes of what they're doing. Custom cars, maybe the guy, for instance, Rawling, is a gas monkey. Well, that's fine. If you look at that, that's right. He's got that one business. But if you go behind the scenes, you'll find that he's invested in restaurants. He's invested in several different revenue streams that actually come back to him because he's really, in effect, an entrepreneur that goes out and looks for these businesses, sees what kind of marketing, what kind of strategy, and has everything set up for them from the CPA to keep track of what's going on and to educate them if their books are terrible, to marketing strategies and the whole 96 yards. So he's like an entrepreneur with a bunch of tools in his toolbox, which gives him the opportunity. I don't know how many revenue streams he's got going, but it's several, besides the show that you see and the custom cars he's building and the racing. And he has also built up a real following on social media. So it gives him a real entrepreneurship. But if you look through him from Coinstars, there's another guy, the son of the older gentleman. Mm-hmm. If you break it down, he's in 9 or 10 different businesses, not just the pawn shop. He's really diversified. He's in restaurants, nightclubs. He's in entertainment. He's done a lot of different